Hey boys and girls, welcome back to Munro Live. I'm here with Alex, and she's one of our interns this semester. So we're going to be looking a little bit at the Frunk, and I'm going to talk a little bit, and maybe Alex has got some suggestions or maybe some questions. So it gives a chance for everybody to get a little shot on Munro Live. So I'm going to start right off and dive right in. And so I want to talk about some of the cool features that I like. Now, I've talked about this before, but Alex had asked, what's that hole for? And so what I did was I said, well, that's for drain. And so what'll happen is the drain here has what we call a duck spill. And the duck spill is a good idea because what it allows you to do is have stuff flow out, but it can't get back in. And then on top of that, what they've done is they've put this little retaining clip here. I can't get it in because of the wire identification wires. But anyways, that would fit right inside here, plunk, like that. And what did you ask what this was for?
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure why there would be a drain in the front trunk of the vehicle.
Okay, so obviously you drink your Scotch neat. This is for ice, okay? So when you've got that big party going on and you need ice down here, you fill that up. As it drains, it'll go down the hole. Now, it could also be for any other type of material that's wet or something like that could flow through. It's easy too to hose this out because this is a working truck, so obviously people are going to put stuff in it. It's going to be dirty, so I can hose this out. And one of the nice features that I like about this is this feature right here. So it can either be turned into like a trap door if you like, or you can get rid of it, or you can stand it up so that you can park stuff inside here. So let's get rid of this for right now, and we'll move on to some of the other stuff inside. What I do like on this is a couple of other little features. Number one, that's the only size bolt that we're using to hold everything on. I like one size bolts. I like captured washers. And I like external fasteners, external head fasteners. So a hex head to me is the best. It's very difficult to screw that up.
Yeah, captured means that the washer can't come off once it's installed,
That's correct,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
So what might be better than just a captured washer?
Having no washer at all? Just
That's
having
correct.
it attached to the bolt head?
That's right. And so that would be, at Ford we used to call them UBS bolt, Unified Center. And those bolts actually are better because there's no slip. These, when you crank these things down, sometimes what happens is that slip will allow you to get a false reading on one of your tools or whatnot, especially if it's a handyman at home trying to take these things off. Yeah. Then it's a bit of a problem. But this is plastic. This is all made out of sheet molded compound. And sometimes having a little slippage is not a bad deal, because even though it's SMC and it's glass filled and everything, it still wants to compress. Plastic grows and shrinks depending on the humidity. So that's one of the bolts that's in here. The other one that I like even better is this combination. Now I will tell you there's a lot going on here, and these are the Tiedowns for inside. And you'll notice that this has got an insert. This has got a hex head. Or internal hex, Allen key kind of a thing. And the reason that you do something like that is because you're going to be parking something on top of it, and the external hex would probably get caught. So you don't want to have that kind of a thing. So I like the fact that they've only got basically two fasteners that are inside, hold everything in place, and this one here does double duty. I like that, and you can see where they're parked all around here.
I got you. So those attachments, you could just put anything in here then?
Pretty much anything you want, and you could tie it down. I'm not sure, but I believe that there are some hooks and whatnot that come with the car with little cables, and
Yeah.
you can snap those things on here, and then hold down whatever you've got in here. Like
Oh, wow.
the other nice thing about this is that it's at about the right height. Now, I don't think you'd be dragging around any bags of cement or concrete, but for me, if I was carrying concrete, it'd be about that high, and look at that. It fits in beautifully.
Yeah.
I could just drop that in and then collapse because I don't want to carry concrete around either. The other thing I liked is these cute little features here. So this fits right inside these little slotted holes here. Let me get out of the way of.
So would those be like for additional support, since they already have like mounting for bungee cords or something if you need to keep it inside? What would that be used for?
Yeah, this would be used for grocery bags probably.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
let me show you how that works. So what happens here is you push down here, and there's a hook. So
Yeah.
you could use it for grocery bags, and then it slides back up inside. So it snaps in place. And then they put buzz like foam around here so that you don't get squeaks and rattles.
Right.
Okay, so that's that. Now, let's talk about the seal. This is a single seal, which I kind of like. This will go around and it'll bang onto the outside edge of this product. So this has been touched or tickled, whatever, and you can feel around here where there's been some grinding that's gone on to make sure that when I pound the seal on, that it's got a good fit. So inside here is how you secure it. And so this has been spread already, but initially this would have been closed up like that.
Okay.
And you put it around, the operator will put it around the edge. I usually would start over there, tap it around the top because it's the hardest one to get at. And then you beat it in all the way around. It just takes like a rubber mallet, not such a great amount of effort. And now what you've got is a seal. And sometimes cheapskates will make this so that it's one piece, all right, but it's got a gap somewhere. And when I see that, I see nothing but trouble later on because this stuff has a tendency to shrink. If it shrinks a little bit on here, tap, 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 and it's all back in position. But if you have a gap, that gap will start to spread. And even on very luxury cars, you'll see that gap spreads and then people get leaks and they're not happy. So we've got some of this stuff here looked at. So let's go and have a look at one of the other features I like, actually my wife likes, and that is that this can be removed and cleaned separately. And now I can take a hose to this, and now you can see that it becomes painfully or obvious as anything that when you hose this out, you're going to need some way to get rid of the dirt that's in here. And this is a real truck, so this isn't like a toy. This is the real deal. This is made for a working man. These kinds of features where you can clean it up and put everything right, that's the kind of stuff that really, for me, as somebody who used to do this kind of work, this is absolutely ideal. I've mentioned this many, many times, but I'm really excited about this truck. I'm interested in seeing, what they've done and how they're doing it. So anyway, we look at this, and now you can see that there's some new stuff, right? So you can see here that this is SMC, and I should explain that maybe a little bit. SMC means sheet molded compound. So this has got a very heavy glass content because, again, it's got 800 pounds of stuff that it's going to be able to hold. Sorry, 400 pounds. 400 pounds of whatever you want to put in it, bricks or probably concrete. And then that has to be basically supported through something, and they've used SMC plastic. Now, I know that part of this is going to be fiberglass, and I know that this has been painted because this is not the way plastic feels. So I know that this has been painted, at least on the top. But what I don't know is what kind of plastic it is. It could be polypropylene. It could be maybe, but I doubt it. It could be nylon. We don't know yet. We haven't had a chance to do the analysis on the plastic.
I think something that was kind of interesting is that most of this is all the same thickness, but these are a little bit wider and a little bit thicker than the rest of the trunk.
Yep, that's a good eye. So what what we do here is when we've got these kinds of anomalies, this is only going to come out as thick as the thickest part that you might find on the on this SMC part, but occasionally I'm going to need more. So to make that happen, what you do is you put patches. You can put them into the female mold, and then it'll be pushed down in place. But it'll be the same type of material. Everything will be warm, and so when you push that down, this boss, and there was another one, but I can't see it right now, but there was another boss that I felt a little while ago. They'll be shoved into place, and that's what gives you these features without having to glue something else on and whatnot. It's always better if you can do it in one piece. And that's what I really like about this. This is one piece, except for this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an access cover. And this is not made of SMC. You can see that it's quite flexible. And this is made out of, we don't know yet. So we're going to just put that over in the pile. So anyway, now what we've got is the one thing I wanted to talk about was the machining that goes around here. And then I said that it seems like the edge, the outside edge of this wall seal. This has been either sanded or milled. It's hard to say, but we can really see is these areas right here have been machined out, and you can see there's 2 countersunk holes over here and another one over there, and then all these places where we've been putting these little attachments for not laundry, but grocery bags. They've all been machined out as well. So all kinds of little machining operations that are going to have to go on, because when this gets done, there are some flash that has to come off, and any feature that you want to use for an attachment will have to, not these though, see? These pockets here, no machining, but the hole where the bolt goes through, excuse me, that does get machined.
Yeah, it does look like there's some material breaking off, so I'd assume that was machined.
That's actually the burr that comes from dropping a plunge mill into it. So
I see.
This is going to be, it depends on volume, and it depends on who's manufacturing. Sometimes they'll just have one big machine and it's done. Other times you have a robot that goes around and spots them.
I gotcha.
Okay, so now what we can do is get rid of this and we'll see what's underneath. Are you ready? That's good. Oh, now you can see underneath here. You can see how this thing was pressed into place. Yeah. By the way, one thing I should mention is that to make this kind of a part and have everything flow properly, you have to use some very, very sophisticated CAD. There's a bunch of different companies that make it. I don't want to mention any of them, otherwise everybody else will get upset. But this kind of a deal where you can feel here that almost everything is about the same thickness. It's a little harder to do than you think. So what happens is the sheet molded compound goes rolling into the press, and it's warm. Yeah. Then you press it down. Sometimes there'll be like the little additive parts that we were just talking about here. Sometimes those things will be sitting in the press. Sometimes they're attached loosely. But anyways, when it goes down and comes back up, it's a finished part. And that's why I like this stuff a lot. I love SMC. In fact, we made a whole car out of this. It was a prototype car. But anyway, we made a whole car of this stuff, and it really worked out well. Yeah. But down here, you can see all the flow lines.
Yeah, the way that you're describing the process, it kind of reminds me of metal stamping, like how you go through different iterations of that part. Yeah,
but with metal stamping, I have to hit this about 30 times, unless I'm using hot form. Hot form, maybe 2 hits, to make something that looks like this. But
this
that's
is all
the closest. This is just one. Yeah, it closes up and then it opens up and it's done.
Yeah, are these kind of like the material stress lines then, as it goes into?
No, it's flow lines. There's there shouldn't be any stress on this at all.
Oh, I see.
And that's what you kind of want when you've got something with 400 pounds of stuff inside. You want to make sure that it's going to stay rock solid. So this is very rugged. It'll never wear out. Let's go and have a look at what else we got in here. So we move across here, and now we got this cross car beam.
Yeah.
Now this, if I was looking at a GM product and you saw something that looked like that, it would be like a pencil brace or something like that. This one here, the only reason for this is for that. This doesn't really do much of anything else. Okay, so let's get this out of the way.
Is the thermal system still inside this, or was it?
Yeah,
previously
you've got a thermal system going on, but mostly what I'm looking at is the size of that that inverter. That is unbelievably big. That's a huge inverter. So
I see.
the inverter is basically taking care of the electric. It takes the current that's coming into it and it turns it into the power that's needed for the engine, or the energy that's needed for the engine.
Oh, I see.
The power
Okay.
comes from the battery, but the energy is going to be needed for that electric motor is going to be coming through that box. This here, that's DC-DC, I think. Yeah, DC-DC converter. So you've got several different types of DC power coming in here. There's more going on here than initially meets the eye. You can see all these hoses going every different direction.
Yeah.
Somebody had to calculate out how to do this and still put that great big giant Frunk in here. So I'm very I'm kind of impressed. I wish they would have gone to maybe different systems here and there, but I can see at least that this is something that somebody's taken some real time to develop. It looks engineered. It doesn't look like a hodgepodge where we've seen some of that in some of the other electric cars that we've torn apart that we don't waste time on with.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested that it looks like a lot of this tubing and stuff, it's all metal.
Yeah.
So I guess coolant tubes and refrigerant tubes that I've seen before are all kind of like they're plastic and in order to help like hoses that connect to different things.
Well, one of the main reasons you use steel is because I need to maintain its shape, or not. These are aluminum anyway, but or Bundy tubing. I'm not sure which, but most of them are coated. Mm-hmm. But that would be the main reason for using steel tubes. Now, one of the things that we've been looking at lately with some guys at TI Automotive are their new system for cooling hoses or systems, I should say, and they don't use. They're using a new technique that they've developed that's plastic injection molded. So I'm actually blow molded and plastic injection molded.
Oh, so
that's
it will
really
still keep like the same shape, but it'll still have the plastic.
Yeah, it's like it's a very rugged plastic that would allow me to leave this behind, because every time you have something like this, you're going to have two effects. One, it's going to get colder, or it's going to get hotter. These conduct, obviously,
Right.
And these do not. Anything that's a hose that looks like that doesn't conduct, which means that you get better thermal efficiency. I don't want things to get hot and cold.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're using that system to hot and cool the vehicle. And the
Exactly
battery.
right. So sometimes moving away from steel or plastic steel or aluminum, it can make a big difference as the efficiency or effectivity of the car. Okay.
Yep.
Are we good?
Yep, I believe we are.
Okay, good. Well, there we go. Alex, have you got something you want to say to your mom?
I love you.
That's good. That's a great line. Okay, so thanks for watching Munro Live. Stay tuned, and we'll be coming back to you very shortly on the F-150, the rest of the teardown. Thank you.